Super Showdown has now been and gone, and despite all of the effort in the build-up to the show and how much WWE pushed to ensure that it delivered in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, there will be some heated conversations in the creative room today. The botches that were part of the show were an absolute minimum if the main event isn't factored in, and it appears that everything went as it was supposed to despite all of the negativity surrounding the event as a whole. Whilst there were many things that WWE got right last night, including a fantastic match between Triple H and Randy Orton and the brilliant Intercontinental Championship match between Finn Balor and Andrade, which saw the Demon come out on top. No women's match. Natalya and Alexa Bliss made their way over to Saudi Arabia in the hopes that the Saudi Arabian government would allow the two women to become the first females to wrestle in their country. The decision came right down to the wire, and even though Renee Young was once again able to take her place behind the commentary desk, the government decided that on this occasion it wasn't going to revoke the law that prevented the women from performing. The WWE Universe were hoping that the fact that Young made history last year at Crown Jewel meant that the women would be able to push for a chance to involve themselves in the show. But this wasn't the case. The lack of female presence will always be a huge talking point in the Middle East, and it cast a dark shadow over last night's show. Number 2. Kofi Kingston's jaded victory. Kofi Kingston managed to defeat Dolph Ziggler in their WWE Championship match last night at Super Showdown. But the ending to the match saw Xavier Woods involve himself in the match behind the referee's back. Kingston has always been a face champion, and this was definitely a heel move from the New Day, which is why a steel cage match makes sense for these stars moving forward. This could be a hint that the New Day are turning heel, but given the fact that Kingston was given the title because of his popularity, turning him and his group heel would be the wrong decision. All will become clear at Stomping Grounds next month, where hopefully Ziggler proves that he's the bigger heel and Kingston is then able to continue to be the popular champion that the WWE Universe wanted. Lars Sullivan's career kicks off with a disqualification. Lars Sullivan kicked off his in-ring career with a disqualification victory. Lars Sullivan was part of a 3-on-1 handicap match last night at Super Showdown as the Lucha House Party looked to be the first stars to pin Sullivan on the main roster, but this wasn't the case. Sullivan is being billed as a monster, and the fact that he was disqualified in his first match was a complete waste when he could easily have taken out all 3 stars and took the victory. Sullivan's disqualification was a victory, and he was able to gain the upper hand following the brawl that took place afterward. But after how long the WWE Universe waited for Sullivan to make his debut, this felt a little underwhelming and could have been handled so much better if the company had been more creative in this situation. The Raw Tag Team Champions were hardly featured. The Raw Tag Team Champions Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder were added to Super Showdown as part of the 50-man Battle Royal. Whilst there was a tag team match on the kickoff show for the Super Showdown, interestingly the champions weren't involved. Hawkins and Ryder weren't even given a good showing in the Battle Royal, since it was all about giving Saudi Arabia the winner that they would cheer for, and a number of faces were hardly even noticeable in the field of all the stars involved. It's questionable as to whether or not the Raw Tag Team Champions are being punished for their tweets about All Elite Wrestling, or if right now the creative teams simply have nothing for them on Monday Night Raw moving forward. Number 5. Goldberg vs. Undertaker should have ended prematurely. Goldberg and The Undertaker faced off for the first time last night despite both men having legendary careers in the ring. At 52 and 54 years old respectively, many fans believed that this fantasy match had come years too late and should only be a few minutes long. Of course, WWE didn't get that memo, and Undertaker's match with the former WCW legend was much longer than expected and saw both men in positions where they could have ended each other's career. The Deadman's tombstone saw Goldberg land square on his head, whilst Goldberg dropped Undertaker whilst performing a jackhammer. The match should have ended when Goldberg was knocked out when he hit the ring post, but this didn't happen and it turned into one of the worst matches that WWE has ever produced.